Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Anita and I'm a member of Anchor MSC. This morning I'm going to be looking at Luke chapter 6 verses 1 to 5. And in this passage we find Jesus and his disciples walking through a cornfield on the Sabbath. The disciples are hungry, so they take some ears of corn, they rub it through their hands and eat the grain. And you wouldn't think that there was anything scandalous about that. They were hungry, they needed to eat. But it was just this action that totally enraged the group of Pharisees who were following Jesus at the time. And it's this that they challenge him on. So perhaps it's worth pausing here and considering what was going on with the Pharisees. And there's a school of thought which says the Pharisees had been striving to keep the Jewish nation pure and distinct from other peoples. So what they'd done is they had overlaid the laws with all sorts of cultural do's and don'ts, cans and can'ts. And they were using this to police what the Jews were doing, and it appears that this is what they were using in this passage. But what happens is when Jesus answers them, he reveals who he is. He transcends those man-made cultural norms, those man-made laws. He reveals who he is because he says to them in chapter 5, then Jesus said to them, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. There it is. He lays it out. But because they were operating in this sphere of do's and don'ts and cans and can'ts, they completely miss the opportunity and fail to recognise that who Jesus is and the salvation that he's offering. And I think that's a really sad passage, really. And it's certainly something that resonates with me, because I left the church as a young teenager. And the reason I'd left the church, and I'd been there since, I was a young child. My parents were Christians. I'd been to Sunday school. But I left because I didn't feel I was good enough in the eyes of those who were leading the church. And in fact, I was left in no doubt that I wasn't good enough. And the examples were things like I didn't wear my Sunday best clothes to church, and that was disrespectful. I asked too many questions that were difficult, and that was disrespectful. I was supposed to come and be completely passive. And so because of that, I left the church. I didn't leave God, and God didn't leave me. But for many, many years, I didn't go to church. It had no relevance for me. I couldn't see Jesus in it. Many, many years later, I had a real epiphany when I read the words, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And this is what the Pharisees completely miss. They were burdening people with things that got in the way, and ultimately got in the way of them seeing who Jesus was. Jesus' yoke is easy, his burden is light. And I just think that it's perhaps time for us as the body of Christ, as we go back to a new kind of normal in church, to perhaps consider this. And so I pray, Jesus, that our eyes are on you first and foremost, and that we don't let our man-made rules and regulations get in the way of us being able to worship you and to be able to receive from you. Amen.